Hello and welcome everyone to the 2022 Forest Service Wilderness Awards. My name is Katie Armstrong and I'm the Director of Wilderness and Wild and Scenic Rivers here at the Forest Service, and I couldn't be happier to be with you here today to celebrate this year's awardees. I'd like to start by thanking Randy Welsh, Executive Director of the National Wilderness Stewardship Alliance, for hosting this award ceremony. We're here today to celebrate the recipients of the 2022 National Wilderness Awards, and we're fortunate to have our Associate Deputy Chief, Jacqueline Emanuel, with us to present the awards. Jacqueline is a huge supporter of wilderness, and we're so happy she's joined us here today. Jacqueline?
Thank you, Katie, and thank you all for joining today to the 2022 National Wilderness Awards celebration. When Katie asked me to do this, I was thrilled that I had this opportunity, and I started to poke around for some inspiration. I pulled out my Sand County Almanac and started reading it again, and I went on our website and I came across this quote from one of our own employees from the Olympic National Forest. "Wilderness is an experience, and it must be felt. The air breathed, the rivers sipped from, the peaks climbed, the natural sounds attended to. Wilderness is an area to realize goals. It's a place for reflection, physical and mental challenge, and renewal. Wilderness is emotional. It's a place for jubilation, doubt, wonder, and inspiration." I just really liked it. It was a great story, and I was really impressed with the content on our internet site. So anyway, moving us along here, as you know, the Forest Service manages 448 congressionally designated wilderness areas, totaling almost 36.7 million acres, which is nearly 19% of NFS lands. And this is all across 106 national forests in 39 states. Preliminary National Visitor Use Monitoring results indicated that wilderness visitation in 2020 rose by 75% over the 2019 rate estimate, which is around double the normal rate of increase. Wilderness is such an important part of the agency's multiple use mission, and I look forward to carrying on our proud tradition of wilderness stewardship. It's more than just recreation, and it requires active and interdisciplinary management to meet stewardship responsibilities and legal requirements. There's nothing more important that we can do right now in the Forest Service than to recruit, hire, and train a representative workforce to carry forward the values of wilderness. It's a more challenging time than ever to reach people, and due to competitive labor markets and affordable housing situations across almost every landscape now, a cumbersome HR system, it's challenging to find good people and to keep them. But I'm personally leaning into these issues and supporting the agency's effort to hire 2,500 new entry-level positions each year, GS 579, and wouldn't it be incredible if many of them could be in service to the National Wilderness Preservation System. I hope to meet many of you during my time as Associate Deputy Chief, and I'm grateful to you for helping us address the ongoing challenges and share in the many successes of the wilderness areas entrusted in our care. Now it's time to present the awards. Today we'll highlight the work of folks who have gone above and beyond to address challenges and maintain progress in the preservation of wilderness character. These individuals find ways to proactively manage wilderness while balancing its untrammeled character and promoting wilderness stewardship in their communities. And I just need to note that these accomplishments recognized in today's ceremony took place in 2021. And as I shared the descriptions of the awards, consider who you may want to nominate for next year's award ceremony for work completed in 2022. Each group will receive an award like the one pictured here, with the name of the award category and the winner's name inscribed on a piece of granite. Individual members of groups or teams being recognized will receive certificates. Our first award today is the Aldo Leopold Award for Overall Wilderness Stewardship. The Aldo Leopold Award for Overall Wilderness Stewardship Program recognizes an outstanding wilderness stewardship program that strives to ensure an ongoing wilderness resource for today's citizens as well as future generations. This year's award goes to Lisa Ronald, former Wildlands Communication Director at the Wilderness Institute. Katie, please tell us about Lisa's great work.
All right, thanks, Jacqueline. For nearly 20 years, Lisa grew the Wilderness Connect website, e-newsletter, and social media channels as the Wildlands Communication Director for the Wilderness Institute at the University of Montana. These great digital wilderness resources have supported agency and partner education, communication, career development, and innovation around the world. Wilderness.net is a website formed in 1996 through a partnership between the W.A. Frank College of Forestry and Conservation's Wilderness Institute at the University of Montana, Arthur Carhart National Wilderness Training Center, and the Aldo Leopold Wilderness Research Institute. The latter two partners are the wilderness training and research arms of the federal government, respectively. The program's day-to-day activities are overseen by a working group and steering committee with additional oversight provided by the Federal Interagency National Wilderness Steering Committee and Wilderness Policy Council. In 2017, Wilderness.net became Wilderness Connect in an effort to bring all of the program's communication tools, including the website, community of practice, e-newsletter, social media channels, under a single brand. Under Lisa's leadership and skills, the website educates hundreds of thousands of visitors annually about the benefits of wilderness and stewardship of wilderness under the Wilderness Act. A huge congratulations to Lisa. Unfortunately, Lisa is unable to attend live today, but she's provided a video for us to share.
I'm Lisa Ronald, and I am honored and flattered as well to be accepting this year's Aldo Leopold Wilderness Award. I'm joining you today from very snowy Missoula, Montana, where you can see the Clark Fork River behind me, which is frozen solid at the moment due to our recent low temperatures. I worked at the Wilderness Institute at the University of Montana here in Missoula, directing the Wilderness Connect program for nearly 20 years. And in that time, I had the pleasure of meeting many of you who work in wilderness management and helping you with information, knowledge, resources, advice to help you do your jobs more effectively, to manage wilderness to standard and to manage wilderness in accordance to law. And in the last couple of years, I had the pleasure of working on some new diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice work that I hope will result in some new public content on Wilderness Connect in the upcoming years. Recently, about 4 months ago, I did take a new position working in the wild and scenic river space. I'm the Western Montana Associate Conservation Director for American Rivers here in Western Montana, and I also continue to lead the Wild and Scenic Rivers Coalition, which is a national alliance of more than 60 river groups nationwide. Through both of those roles, I get to protect rivers here in Western Montana, and we have many beautiful candidates, as well as work at the national level to unite river groups in collaborative stewardship and advocacy efforts. So with that, I will thank you again for the Aldo Leopold Wilderness Award. I happily accept that and gratefully do so on behalf of the Wilderness Institute and the Wilderness Connect program. And I wish you all a happy and healthy holiday season this year. Thank you.
Nicely done, Lisa. Moving on to our next award. The Bob Marshall Award for Individual Champion of Wilderness Stewardship is given to an individual, Forest Service employee, partner, or member of the public who has demonstrated dedication to and active involvement in wilderness stewardship. They have stimulated improvements in the stewardship of wilderness, actively working to preserve a high-quality wilderness experience for present and future generations. Individuals recognized with this award have gone the extra mile to preserve the wilderness resource. This year's award goes to Carol Hennessy, Recreation, Wilderness, Trails, River, and Outfitter Program Manager for the Nez Perce Clearwater National Forest. Katie, tell us about Carol's great work.
I would love to. Carol Hennessy's career managing wilderness spans over 30 years. In her current role, Carol provides leadership on the stewardship of nearly 4 million acres of wilderness. Carol currently leads the coordination of the Selway Bitterroot Wilderness Board of Directors, as well as the lead working group. This requires her to coordinate across 2 states, 3 national forests, and 5 districts. She also serves as a member of the lead working group for the Frank Church River of No Return Wilderness, in addition to leading management of the Gospel Hump Wilderness. Carol artfully provides wilderness guidance to new line officers responsible for decisions in these areas, ensuring they get the proper training, helping to draft leaders' intent letters, and providing staff input to decisions. She is passionate yet pragmatic in these efforts, and decision makers rely on her because of her thoughtful approach. Recently, Carol has been the backbone of the Forest Historic Travelways Project, which maintains and interprets 3 important historic routes across the forest. This has involved many partners: the Nez Perce Tribe, the Nee-Me-Poo Trail Managers, National Technology and Development Center, local universities, and many more. In 2017, Carol began working with the regional office staff to host the annual Northern Rockies Wilderness Skills Institute on her forest and at the historic Powell Ranger Station. With this, she has taken on planning, hosting, and implementing various parts of this training event. Carol has a passion for wilderness, the people who use and enjoy it, and the communities that surround these areas. Congratulations, Carol. I understand Carol has also prepared a video to share with us.
Greetings, everyone, and thank you and hello from beautiful, wintry Powell, Idaho, gateway to the Selway Bitterroot Wilderness, where I've spent over 25 years of my career. I'm sitting with the SBW Leadership Group in person for the first time in 3 years, so it's an amazing day. Due to our snowy conditions, which can lead to some pretty sketchy internet up here, and really because I don't think I can keep myself composed while sitting with this group, I'm going to record this little message of gratitude. I was so honored, so humbled, so shocked, surprised to be the recipient of the Bob Marshall Champion of Wilderness Award. It's an honor I never dreamed of receiving in my career. Behind me, you'll see the beautiful Seven Lakes area of the Selway Bitterroot Wilderness. This is where I was introduced to wilderness in the Forest Service when a packer took me into the wilderness for the first time. I would have hiked, but he said if I was to supervise him and manage wilderness, I needed to understand how essential pack strings were to wilderness management. So what does a girl know about wilderness when she comes from Ohio, a state that had no wilderness when I was born? Now there's one very small one, a beautiful heron rookery up around Lake Erie where I grew up. I knew nothing of wilderness until working on a fire team with Mel Folks, an SBW manager who told me stories that made me dream of the place where he worked. And then one day he called me and he said, "I'm retiring. You would like it here." And so I ended up in his job managing recreation and wilderness on the Luxaw district of the Clearwater National Forest, where I supervised the 2 most amazing wilderness rangers, Connie Saylor and Sarah Walker, an outstanding wilderness trail specialist, Jim Beal, and a long string packer, Steve Didier. They supported me, they mentored me, they taught me about wilderness research and stewardship and partners, how to build trail using amazing rock work and maintain bridges with rigging, how to ride and pack mules and move an amazing amount of dunnage. They taught me everything about good, solid, on-the-ground wilderness stewardship, that wilderness is a place where we welcome everyone and work with everyone to gently educate and promote a better understanding of the value of wilderness. I believe I'm known for understanding the Wilderness Act and its provisions in a way that allows us to be welcoming, whether wilderness visitors are enjoying the use of a backcountry airstrip as provided for by a special provision, or seeing wilderness from the back of a horse or in a whitewater raft as a client of a commercial outfitter. Wilderness managers aren't always lifelong wilderness stewards. Some of us just land in wilderness utterly by accident when they take a job that they think they will love, like I did when the packer took me into wilderness for the first time, up to Seven Lakes, because as a silviculturalist, I knew how to plant trees, and the wilderness rangers, researchers, and volunteers weren't so sure when they had to put beargrass seedlings propagated from native seed up there into the ground. So I said, I think I can help. And when they said, I'm not sure how to plant them, I said, but I do, and I think I can help. After that, I left Seven Lakes to experience my first week of aloneness, solitude, and wilderness, hiking the divide between the Lac Sun Selway rivers, through a fire area, an active fire area, all alone. I'd given a little map of water sources along the way, but I missed a couple, and those were pretty hard nights. That's how I began learning about risk management, amazing solitude experiences, and understanding how naturalness feels. I never dreamed that one trip to Seven Lakes would change my career path, my life's journey, that it would lead me to connections with those I now stand in awe of, some of whom I was honored to meet, like Bud Moore in 1996 when he signed his book, The Locksaw Story, for me, or stewards I still partner with, like Chris Atkins, who with Connie created the Idaho Project, instilling in Iowa youth the appreciation for stewardship of wilderness in Idaho. Or amazing wilderness champions, like those I get to work with on the National and Northern Rockies Wilderness Skills Core Team. What an honor to be invited to be part of that team. I will close with Bill Moore's, Bud's son's, email signature that says, "Rejoice in wild places." I've been so fortunate to rejoice in the wild places of north central Idaho, the Selway Bitterroot, the Gospel Hump, and the Frank Church. I'm so honored and so thankful to be appreciated for my small contribution over these past 25 years to the stewardship of this magnificent resource. I thank you all with all my heart.
There's a second award in Bob Marshall's name, the Bob Marshall Award for Group Champion of Wilderness Stewardship. Like its counterpart that recognizes stewardship by an individual, this award honors a group of employees, private, public, or non-governmental, who've demonstrated dedication to and active involvement in wilderness stewardship. They have helped to improve wilderness stewardship, actively working to preserve a high-quality wilderness experience in the present and into the future. Groups recognized with this award have gone the extra mile to preserve the wilderness resource. This year's award goes to the Bob Marshall Wilderness Foundation.
The Bob Marshall Wilderness Foundation was founded in 1996 after a group of concerned citizens and Forest Service staff came together to address and assist with maintenance on the trails in the Bob Marshall Wilderness Complex in Montana. From this initial focus, the Foundation's work has grown to span all aspects of wilderness stewardship today, including public education, invasive species treatment, horse packing, and wilderness rangers, among others. The Bob Marshall Wilderness Foundation fosters active wilderness stewardship by offering a range of programs to engage a diverse group of volunteers, youth, and partners, helping them become competent backcountry users and developing a strong wilderness ethic. In 2021, the Bob Marshall Wilderness Foundation embarked on a new type of backcountry adventure, an introductory Wilderness 101 trip for an infinity group, with the goal of improving access and a feeling of belonging in the Bob. Thanks to a partnership with Here Montana, the trip brought 8 BIPOC or Black, Indigenous, and people of color individuals into the Great Bear Wilderness, where they learned the history of the area, practiced setting up a backcountry camp, and hiked to the Middle Fork of the Flathead River. Adding infinity trips, along with other volunteer programming, like the Girls on the Trails program and Packer Apprentice program, helps to ensure access and supports communities whose members historically lack adequate access to outdoor education, recreation, and/or other stewardship opportunities. On this same front, the Foundation hosted one of the most popular sessions of the 2021 National Wilderness Skills Institute, A New Way into the Wild, Inclusion as a Criteria for the Future of Conservation. Bill Hodge is with us here today on behalf of the Bob Marshall Wilderness Foundation. Congratulations, Bill. Please come on camera and off mute for some brief remarks.
Thanks, Katie, and thanks everyone. And on behalf of just an absolutely amazing staff and a dynamic board of directors, and honestly, all of those who've come before us in the last 25 years to build this organization, thank you for this award in Bob's name. But we're pretty proud to wear Bob's name on a day in, day out basis here at the foundation, and super excited that just in the last week, Bob was inducted into the Montana Outdoor Hall of Fame, which I think is pretty exciting and certainly well overdue. As you heard, there's a lot of amazing things that have gone on in this foundation in the last 25 years. We've connected literally thousands of volunteers to the idea of stewardship of public lands and contributed hundreds of thousands of dollars back to our public lands through that work. We're super excited to continue that work into the future and expand on that work into the future. As you heard, we have a real commitment and an intentional bucket of work that we do to connect those who have historically not seen themselves as part of the public land experience and certainly not a part of the stewardship experience. Just in the last year, we've rolled out new partnerships with Upward Bound, with the Salish Kootenai College Blackfeet Youth Program, the Montana chapter of Latino Outdoors, the Glacier Queer Alliance, Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, and so many more. Just in this last year, we've worked on over 460 miles of trail and treated almost 500 acres of invasives in the Bob Marshall Wilderness Complex. An amazing slice of Montana, 1.6 million acres, and what I think is absolutely one of the keystones of the National Wilderness Preservation System. We're looking forward to expanding our Packer Apprentice program, continuing our work with underserved and underrepresented communities, growing our Wilderness Conservation Crew program, and certainly excited about recent funding opportunities to expand our work to keep invasives out of the Bob Marshall Wilderness Complex and treating those infestations that already exist. So again, on behalf of an amazing staff and board and all of those in our 25-year history of serving the Bob Marshall Wilderness Complex, thank you for this honor, and we're certainly happy to be here tonight.
Congratulations, Bill. Wilderness management decisions involve a complex integration of physical, biological, and social components that may have political consequences. Research projects that specifically address on-the-ground, day-to-day management issues are extremely valuable to line officers and managers because they help explain components contributing to current issues and provide fresh insight into strategies and tactics that can be used to implement best management practices. The Excellence in Wilderness Research Application Award recognizes applied research conducted by an individual or team. This year's award goes to the authors of the General Technical Report, or GTR, titled A History of Wilderness Fire Management in the Northern Rockies. Julia Berkey, Community Preparedness and Wildfire Prevention Program Manager for the Montana Department of Natural Resources and Conservation. Carol Miller, Research Ecologist Emeritus for the Aldo Leopold Wilderness Research Institute of the USDA Forest Service's Rocky Mountain Research Station, and Andrew J. Larson, Professor at the University of Montana.
This report recounts historically important fires in the 3 large wilderness areas in the northern Rocky Mountains and analyzes the development of wilderness fire management in the 1970s, the 1980s through the present. Specifically, Berkey and colleagues described fire history in the Selway Bitterroot Wilderness, the Bob Marshall Wilderness Complex, and the Frank Church River of No Return Wilderness. This general technical report describes how fire management has evolved through time as more wilderness and fire managers began to recognize the ecological importance of fire to forests in the Northern Rockies and elsewhere. Providing details of this evolution through photographs, maps, narratives, tables, and interviews, the report provides compelling documentation as to how variation in fire management strategies has led to variability in fire activity in each wilderness over the 4 time periods analyzed. As land management agencies such as the Forest Service are grappling with strategies to allow fire to play a more natural role, lessons learned from the Wilderness Fire Program can help inform policy and aid in communicating fire management to partners. In one of the report's concluding statements, The authors stress that the lessons from wilderness set the stage for a cultural shift in how the United States regards fire management for resource benefit, and that the Northern Rockies will continue to play a pivotal role in shaping national fire policy and management. Congratulations, Julia, Carol, and Andrew. I invite you to come on camera and off mute to say a few brief remarks.
Hi, thank you, Katie. We were really shocked, and I'm honored to receive this award. So thank you so much. More than anything else, we kind of owe it to our interviewees who provided the basis for a lot of our findings. There were 20 of them, so I'm not going to list them all today, but for anyone who knows anything about wilderness fire management in the Northern Rockies, you wouldn't be surprised by the list. They were truly trailblazers and continue to be trailblazers in the field. So completely pivotal to the research, and also many were retired, and those interviews were often over an hour long. So it really goes to show the dedication kind of to this field and what it takes to get fire on the ground, even in the wilderness. And we continue to be excited to see kind of the interest and the use that this research has gotten. I think whenever you're publishing anything, you're afraid it's just going to sit on the shelf and no one's ever going to read it. But it does seem like this has been useful. And I will just say personally, I now do work outside the wilderness. I work in a field where I'm kind of helping communities better live with fire. And like you said, reintroduce fire as an ecosystem at a larger scale, and certainly take the kind of findings and the themes from this into my job every day now. So it's certainly applicable outside the wilderness as well. And it's just great to see that that has been found to be true for more than just myself. So thank you.
Congratulations. The Wilderness Partnership Champion Award recognizes efforts to promote the wilderness partnerships that are vital to the successful management of the National Wilderness Preservation System. Dedicated individuals, both within the Forest Service and among its partners, are working hard to develop and sustain relationships with those eager to assist in wilderness stewardship. The path to successful partnership building is often arduous and not easily accomplished. This award is intended to recognize efforts of the partnership champions. This year's award goes to the John Muir Trail Wilderness Conservancy.
The John Muir Trail Wilderness Conservancy is a nonprofit organization with the mission of caring for the wilderness, wildlife, and waters along the John Muir Trail in the High Sierra Nevada of California for people to enjoy in the centuries to come. The Conservancy began working with the Inyo National Forest in 2019 to help find summer wilderness rangers and fill severe gaps in staffing needed to properly steward the John Muir and Ansel Adams wilderness areas. The Conservancy and the Forest developed a 4-year wilderness restoration proposal that was subsequently funded by the State of California Wildlife Conservation Board. The Conservancy was successful in securing $23 million in state funding for wilderness projects on the Inyo National Forest, Sierra National Forest, Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Park, and Yosemite National Park. This additional funding allows for substantial improvements to the visitor experience, including better trail connectivity between campgrounds and wilderness trailheads. Overall, the Conservancy will be able to contribute about $12 million to Inyo National Forest wilderness and trails management over the next decade, and will have a similar impact on the Sierra National Forest. In addition to restoring campsites, protecting water quality, preserving meadow habitat, and maintaining trails, this fund also ensures that the northern half of the Inyo National Forest continues to have a full complement of wilderness rangers to provide public education in the field and protect completed restoration work. The Conservancy is also supporting annual field crews from the Eastern Sierra Conservation Corps, a local youth crew provider with a mission to train skilled field leaders from underrepresented communities. Marla Stark is here with us today on behalf of the John Muir Trail Wilderness Conservancy. Please come on camera, Marla, and say a few words.
Thank you, Jacqueline and Katie. on behalf of the Board of Directors of the JMT Wilderness Conservancy and our entire staff, we are very humble and sincerely appreciate the recognition that you're giving. We're a very young organization, 4 years out. And as Katie said, we started by trying to look at landscape level, comprehensive restoration to regions along the Sierra Nevada crest that had been impacted by very high tourism and also severe weather events from climate change. An organization like ours can't get started as quickly as we can without some enormous support. First and foremost was the Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, who recognized the Grossman family, who recognized the need and what we were trying to accomplish and how expensive and time-consuming that would be, and gave us the funding to hire some very talented, young, enthusiastic staff. Of that staff, I need to call out Toby Suko, who was our Chief of Operations, and Claire Freeman, who was our Manager of Wilderness Programs, who worked out of Mammoth Lakes, partnering with the Inyo National Forest to start these programs. And of course, as we all know, the parks and forests in high-risk fire regions have been absolutely swamped and strained to the limit with what they can do. And so it was with extreme gratitude that two very fine Forest Service professionals, Diana Pietrasanta and Adam Barnett, took a bet on a very young conservancy walking in, trying to create partnerships for major wide-scale programs, and gave us their time and effort to help us organize our first 4-year program. Finally, I think what's unique about us is that we reached out to first Stanford University, now several UC campuses in California, because we use, as you can see of the photograph to the left, undergraduate research interns in environmental fields to stand in partnership with the Forest Service and Park Service specialists and provide really educated, enthusiastic hands to help get the work done. So we now have expanded across the region and are starting 5 major projects. As Katie noted, a fair amount of money is coming into the Inyo National Forest to help really shore up both resources and restoration work to get the wilderness back to a more robust form. And this year we were fortunate in reaching out to Secretary Wade Crowfoot at the California Natural Resources Agency, who had, again, accepted an invitation to take a walk in the woods. And as we know, that's what I think inspires leadership and funding. Wade Crowfoot subsequently has been a strong supporter within the California state budget, where the Natural Resources Agency is in fact focusing on this meadow ecosystem and riparian corridors, and recognize that the Central Sierra Nevada is a vital environmental asset, not only for the state, but for the nation. And with the support of Governor Gavin Newsom, once again, I have to call out these very qualified public officials. They gave us the support needed to really put in some very serious funding, partnered with our own foundation donations that will carry us forward for the next 6 to 8 years. So an extraordinary group effort of very talented people. I can't thank them all enough. And I certainly thank the U.S. Forest Service for this recognition. It is something that makes us feel very, very humble in light of the prodigious experience that is that are being given their awards today. So thank you all very much. Come out, enjoy the John Muir Trail sometime, and we'd love to host you.
Thanks for that, Marla. Katie and I want to take you up on that offer. The Traditional Skills and Minimum Tools Leadership Award is given to a Forest Service employee or crew who has demonstrated outstanding initiative, creativity, and commitment to wilderness principles by accomplishing a difficult or challenging wilderness stewardship activity using traditional skills and primitive tools. This year's award goes to the Bald River Trail Project, completed by the Cherokee National Forest Tellico Ranger District Recreation Trails and Wilderness staff, Southern Appalachian Wilderness Stewards, Jolly Rovers Trail Crew, and rigging instructors.
The Bald River Gorge Wilderness is in eastern Tennessee, within the Cherokee National Forest on the Tellico Ranger District. The primary trailhead to the wilderness is adjacent to the Tellico River Road near the base of Bald River Falls. One of the most popular and heavily used trails on the district, the Bald River Trail, climbs steeply from the parking lot, providing access to the northern boundary of the wilderness and taking visitors to the top of Bald River Falls. Trail use and the existing trail layout were contributing to significant soil and vegetation impacts in the vicinity of the trail, which led to soil sedimentation into the Tellico River. This had resulted in the formation of gullies, loss of vegetation cover, and exposure of tree roots along the trail. The Cherokee National Forest coordinated and worked with the Southern Regional Office to secure funding from the Great American Outdoors Act and established a project agreement with the Southern Appalachian Wilderness Stewards, or SAWS, to provide the capacity needed to complete a trail restoration project. Over a period of 2 weeks, SAWS crews members and Forest Service staff received training at the project site covering such topics as grip, hoist, winch operation, snatch block attachment, quarry busters, and stone feathers to split large stones, to mention just a few of the wonderfully named skills this crew used. The crew then split, shaped, and honed the stones further with hammer and chisel until they fit into the trail and surrounding landscape. Steps were shaped and delicately placed on the steep trail grade to ensure the stones properly interlocked with each other. This was critical to prevent the trail from erosion. Throughout the duration of the project, the public observed the crew's use of traditional tools and skills. District staff interacted extensively with the public, answering questions about the project, wilderness management, use of traditional tools and skills, and keeping visitors from going around trail closure barriers. The district received glowing comments about the quality, skill, and care that went into addressing the resource impacts, and marveled at the crew's use of traditional tools, skills, and their dedication. We now invite representatives of each group associated with the project to say a few words. Please come on camera and off mute to say some brief remarks.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Brandon Burke. I'm the District Recreation Program Manager here on the Tellico Ranger District. And I just wanted to say I am very humbled, shocked, excited, thrilled, enthusiastic that we were selected for this award. And what really made this project unique was the amazing collaboration between various partner groups. We have a great partner, the Southern Appalachian Wilderness Stewards. If it wasn't for them, this project would not have been possible. We simply do not have the capacity here on this district to be able to do this project ourselves for the Forest Service. Here on the south zone of the Cherokee National Forest, we only have 2 permanent wilderness trails technicians and 2 seasonal employees, and there was no way we were able to come up with the capacity to be able to handle a project of this complexity and size. So having approached Southern Appalachian Wilderness Stewards and partnering up with them for the project was a great experience. And I also want to give a shout out to the Jolly Rovers trail crew, Artie Hidalgo, amazing guy from New York. Definitely gave us the training and the experience to show us how to, shape stone, move stone, harvest stone. And also a big shout out to Martha Beckton and Robert Fina with the Potomac Appalachian Trail Club. These rigging instructors spent about a week with us and with the employees from the Southern Appalachian Wilderness Steward to show us all kinds of concepts, techniques, and different tips and tricks on how to rig and move stone for the project. So this was a great example, a great illustration of working with various partner groups coming together, the communication, the collaboration, camaraderie. We came together, everybody knew their roles and responsibilities, and we pulled this project off over a period of 5 weeks. So On behalf of the Cherokee National Forest and the Telka Ranger District, I definitely want to give a big shout out to our partners, and I can't thank them enough for making this project a reality. So thank you very much.
Definitely thank you, Brandon, on behalf of Southern Appalachian Wilderness Stewards for those sentiments. And I have a lot of similar things to say and gratitude. And yeah, we are so thankful to have been given or had a part in the project that was given the Traditional Skills and Minimum Tool Leadership Award. We owe a huge thanks to you, Brandon, folks on the Telka Ranger District and from the Cherokee National Forest, also to Gray Buckles and Jesse English and the rest of the partners that we've gotten to work with who have really supported the project all the way from its conception to its completion. I also want to thank Artie Hidalgo from the Jolly Rovers, as Brandon said, taught our crew the stonework, traditional stonework construction, and also Martha Beckton and Robert Fina, who also, like Brandon said, taught the crew and some other staff grip hoist and rigging techniques, which were really vital for them being able to complete this project of this scope in the time that they did. And of course, this project wouldn't have been possible without the 11 crew leaders and members who spent their season on the ground, putting in the hard work, splitting and dragging these stones to build this long-lasting and beautiful entrance to the Bald River Gorge Wilderness area. SAWS was created to fill a need for building capacity for wilderness stewardship, and also for keeping traditional tools and skills alive. And this project was one of our most special. And even more than that, we recognize that wilderness areas are a refuge and a place of healing for people, that they are bigger than the sum of their parts and create a sense of awe and wonder. We can't forget that our work as wilderness stewards helps facilitate those positive interactions with the resource and provides access for people to get to their healing places. So on top of how great it is that this work with traditional tools is being recognized today, we are especially thankful that we have such great partners and that we have the opportunities to keep doing this work and share these skill sets with new stewards. So thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Haig with the Jolly Rovers Trail Crew. I'm standing in for Artie Hidalgo. I just wanted to say a word of gratitude on his behalf. He was totally humbled to be included in this award, and we're humbled to be among the company of everyone on this call. As folks have mentioned, we're a stonework trail crew based out of Southern New York, where wilderness is kind of relative, but we're in an area where we're often encountering people in their first experiences outdoors. And so it's really important to us to get people excited about, nature and wilderness. And part of our mission is to teach workshops. We're all volunteer, but we've taught workshops for over 25 organizations. And it's something that we love doing and sharing the love, sharing the skills. So thank you. This project was incredible, and we're just really humbled to be among you.
Hi, I'm Martha Beckton, and I'm speaking on behalf of Robert Fina and myself, the rigging instructors. Humbling is a really great word, as well as partnership. And we're very honored to be part of this. The project was amazing. I can testify that it was really kind of set the course for myself and Robert after this project. It was so inspiring. Working with an organization like SAWS, which is really focused on building capacity and bringing traditional tool skills to wilderness stewards, is really near and dear to our hearts. There's two things that combine to make work in the wilderness areas so rewarding. The first one is the pleasure of working with the non-mechanized tools. There's a real sense of harmony that springs when crafting a trail to lay gracefully in the existing landform, untrammeled, rather than altering the land to fit the trail. And then the second, there's really something about the people involved with wilderness stewardship that makes the work just as special. For instance, as we were setting up gear for one of our days of on-site training for this project, Mason, who is a key part of the project, he's a Forest Service employee, and he shared his personal family connection with the land, where we were, and it spans back generations. And it's always exciting learning about those connections with the wilderness work, and it makes our role as traditional tool instructors even more relevant. It enables ongoing generational ties to the wilderness, as well as to the tools used to steward the land. And it's an honor, and it's just a pleasure working with everyone we did.
Creativity, dedication, and commitment have characterized many of the wilderness education efforts since the Wilderness Act passed in 1964. The Connie D. Myers Award for Leadership in Wilderness Education recognizes excellent educators and education programs that engage citizens of all ages and backgrounds in understanding and sustaining the value of the wilderness resource. This year's award goes to USDA Forest Service's Eastern Region Urban Connections Wilderness Youth Engagement Team with the following members: Leah Anderson, Susan Cox, Terry Hayer, Barbara McGinnis, Lisa Perez, Jesse Scott, and John Thompson.
All right, well, I have to say that this one is special to me, as one of my first jobs with the Forest Service was with the Urban Connections program. I was stationed in Detroit. It will always be close to my heart, and it's great to see some names that I recognize and receiving this award. In 2021, there was congressional language that encouraged the Forest Service to make additional investments in the Urban Connections program, with the specific goal of conducting region-wide youth engagement and activities focused on outdoor recreation and learning in Forest Service managed wilderness areas. The Eastern Region's Urban Connections Wilderness Youth Engagement Team did an outstanding job deepening and expanding partnerships to allocate $1.8 million to support 28 projects across the region, with a partner match of almost $1.6 million. This is about 9 times the amount this program typically spends in a year. Through close collaboration with several partners and national forests in the region, this group was able to expand Urban Connections programming to connect youth from diverse and underserved communities, including youth with disabilities, to a continuum of experiences in nature, including visits to national forest wilderness areas. While most of the projects are multi-year and partner work was constrained due to COVID restrictions, this work still reached nearly 12,000 participants and more than 250,000 social media contacts in fiscal year 2021. I'm happy to say this work will continue on for several years. We now invite a representative from the team to say a few words. I think we've got Lisa Perez and Jesse Scott, who will be representing.
Hi, everyone. This is Jesse Scott, the Urban Connections Coordinator for the Greater Boston area. And the Region 9 Community Engagement Team truly appreciates this recognition and the support needed to perform this work. We give special thanks to our budget shop, including Daryl Woods, who has retired, and Laverne Badger, in addition to our grants and agreements shop, including Brenda Frenzel, and of course, our fellow colleagues on forest units across Region 9 who engage communities across the urban to rural spectrum. Now joining me is Lisa Perez, the Urban Connections Coordinator for Detroit.
I'm Lisa Perez, working in Detroit. Of course, the work that we do cannot be done without our tremendous partners that we're working with. One of the key things we've learned in our work is that in order to reach the underserved audiences that we wish to engage, we need to work with trusted partners that they trust those audiences. And examples of the levels of trust that were engaged is these photos. Our Healthy Kids group from Detroit were able to travel up to the Nordhaus Dunes Wilderness, and Outdoor Afro in Minneapolis, St. Paul, through our partner Wilderness Inquiry, were able to visit the Boundary Waters. These are just examples of some of the amazing projects that have gone on with over 28 different partners and projects. And through this work, we've also come face to face with some of those barriers and obstacles that are evident and ongoing in creating an accessible access to wilderness areas. And we hope that we'll be able to figure out ways with our Forest Service partners to help mitigate and alleviate these barriers. Thanks so much.
Line officer leadership and commitment to wilderness stewardship is essential to the well-being of the National Wilderness Conservation System. While these individuals are constantly being challenged, competing demands for time and resources, many stand out in the ability to provide the public with outstanding opportunities for use and enjoyment of the enduring resource of wilderness. The Line Officer Wilderness Leadership Award recognizes a line officer for their outstanding contributions to wilderness stewardship and their commitment to meeting wilderness stewardship goals. This year's award goes to Connie Cummins, retired forest supervisor of the Superior National Forest. Katie's going to tell us more about Carol's great work.
Over the past several decades, the popularity of the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness in Minnesota has grown, attracting both new and returning visitors. With increased visitation, there's more people to experience and appreciate designated wilderness and a legislated opportunity for primitive recreation on our public lands, but it also brings additional management challenges. The forest fielded concerns from many wilderness users and stakeholders about the degradation of the wilderness. Over the past 10 years, the forest received nearly 3,000 comments from visitors about the natural resource degradation and the social impacts of overcrowding, littering, cutting live trees, and causing erosion at campsites and portages, as well as illegal camping, among other challenges. Many partners, including cooperators and outfitters, have voiced similar concerns and shared that clients are not returning due to the declining state of wilderness and visitor experiences. Former Forest Supervisor Cummins determined that action was necessary in the wilderness to address physical and social resource damage and selected minimum method or tool to be used within the constraints of law and agency policy. The forest added more wilderness rangers and volunteers, created a new education video series in 2019, updated its website and trip planning guide, encouraged the use of recreational areas on the rest of the forest, and made changes to its wilderness permit quota. After the pandemic-related surge in visitation in 2020 compounded existing negative impacts to the wilderness, the forest started conversations about these issues and potential changes with cooperating businesses, partner, and other stakeholders. This award recognizes Connie Cummins for her outstanding contribution to wilderness stewardship and her commitment to meeting wilderness stewardship performance goals. Congratulations, Connie. Please come on camera to make some remarks.
I'm quite honored to receive this award, and especially I receive it on behalf of the Superior National Forest. As you said, the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness is it's a well-loved, highly visited wilderness area, and the Superior has for many years faced the challenge of, on one hand, trying to encourage and get as many people into the wilderness as possible to experience it, and yet at the same time knowing that we have responsibilities to maintain all of the different wilderness attributes and wilderness character, and it has been quite a challenge. I think most of you know that line officers are not the ones that do the heavy lifting, it's the employees. And I'm super proud of the team on the Superior National Forest. It's quite a large group of people that work in wilderness, all the way from, we have several wilderness rangers who are in the field collecting and monitoring data on encounter use and resource damage, and spending a lot of time with visitors and listening to their feedback. We have many front desk employees who also are monitoring that employee feedback. We have an outstanding permit administrator working with rec.gov. We have outstanding rangers and assistant rangers working in wilderness, and and in my mind, probably one of the best wilderness program managers around in Ann Schwaller, and an astounding wilderness staff officer, Susan Catton. And so it really is a team effort for many years. And in facing this challenge, really trying to look at all those different tools and trying to impact the visitor as less as possible, but still knowing that we need to maintain that character. And so I'm really proud of the Superior and that team. I think, looking forward, this challenge that we face, in knowing that people are really looking to their public lands for access, and knowing that our wilderness areas really are the crown jewel of our land. It's only going to grow across the country, as we've all seen, and this challenge will be with us. And so how do we figure out how to continually get as many people in as possible that can experience this wilderness adventure, but still know that we have to maintain that wilderness character and those attributes. And I'm sure, I know staff and employees on the Superior are up to the challenge. They're always working on it. It's always changing. And I'm sure that other forests as well are going to be facing that same challenge. So again, thank you for this award. It's quite an honor. And again, it really is on behalf of the Superior National Forest that I would accept it. So thank you very much.
Congratulations, said Connie, and to the Superior and to all the recipients of this year's Wilderness Awards. And thank you for those who submitted nominations to highlight their work. It's been my honor to present this year's awards, and I am struck by how much experience, energy, knowledge, enthusiasm exists in the wilderness community. I'm sure we'll continue to draw on all of your skills as we face the challenges in managing wilderness in the coming years. So thank you for having me, and congratulations again.
Thank you, Jacqueline, and thank you for joining us. And I also wanted to extend a thank you again to Randy Welch, Executive Director of the National Wilderness Stewardship Alliance, and really one of the Forest Service's, trusted partner organizations. We really appreciate you hosting this and giving us the opportunity to celebrate and highlight this inspiring work. I also want to thank Dusty Vaughn and his team for the magnificent production value. I especially loved the applause. So thank you all for the work that you've done in support of wilderness. And thank you to everyone who tuned in today. This concludes our awards, but please do be thinking about nominations for next year's awards for work that's happening this year. All right, with that, thank you everyone. Goodbye.